Hello. Today is Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody. Uh, this is not so much a Christmas themed Pet Prince update. More the fact that I'm just doing it on Christmas because I've been working on some stuff the last couple days and I wanted to document it. So what I have in front of me here is kind of the big project that I've been doing. Hasn't been going smoothly. But here is three main pieces glued from many other pieces that I'm currently working on. And those of you who can recognize some of the stuff, see the vibration, will see that this is in fact a Monster Hunter switch axe. So it's from the game Monster Hunter. It's a two-part weapon. It has the axe head part, which in this case is more like a spiky bar or spiky arch, and the sword bit, and they both attach to this handle. It has a really long handle and a long mechanism up here, and these are actually almost like extrusions. So, and the weapon functions basically like this. Hang on, here, I gotta see what I'm doing here. Alright, so the way it functions is that this is the axe mode, so you strike with the axe blade on the left, and then the axe blade comes down, and the sword part flips all the way over the front, and kind of, it's supposed to sort of go, I think, in like that, and then it becomes like a great sword with the axe at the bottom end of it, and then you can strike like that. So as you can see, I have a whole bunch of parts still here to attach. The problem I'm having is that the mechanism that actually does the switching is just too small. It's too small at this scale. So this is like one of the pieces that's supposed to focus. Yeah, so this is one of the pieces that's supposed to go in, and I've actually snapped it in half. This bottom piece that connects to the thing. And at this small scale, I don't have really any tolerance, which I need some tolerance. So if I can actually probably attach these two. So how this actually goes, it slides in this bit. I'm just gonna have to do this with kind of a hand and a half here. So it actually goes inside, and it should slide up and down, but this piece might not be loose yet, which is another problem. Or it could be the glue that I used. It's not allowing enough tolerance. So it's pretty finicky, and I'm worried I'm going to destroy it somehow, so just trying to be really gentle with it. Alright, well, for the most part, it kind of, you can see it kind of slides down. But these parts have to kind of be worked loose, so basically I'm just sitting here and like moving it up and down repeatedly to try and sort of make the pieces match. I don't know if I have a good way to show that off. I would guess not. But like, just by sort of doing this repeatedly and cautiously, so don't snap anything, and eventually it does kind of loosen up. You can see already it's kind of smoother. So why am I doing this? I could just glue the pieces in place and have like a static thing. As you can see, this little piece is actually pretty important. Come on, focus. But it's so small, so I don't think it's gonna last very long. So I tried to reprint that piece, this piece, and as you can see, that's what it's supposed to look like. It's missing part of itself. That didn't go so well. So I figured, you know what? Okay, this small scale is pretty good for these pieces. You know, the handle and all that, and seeing how these pieces all fit together. These pieces, they kind of have like a fake. This transparent PLA is not the best for this, to be honest, but they have like these fake bolts, like this piece here, with these fake bolts, and they're supposed to go in these holes that hold the thing together. Partially cosmetically, but also partially for strength as well, so they're not just glued, and to line the pieces up. That didn't really work, so I just used some other PLA because they wouldn't really fit, and I just cut them basically to the exact size I needed and sanded them, and then just stuck them in and glued them in. So that worked. And this piece doesn't have anything like that. It literally just glues one blade on top of the other, and you can kind of just do that standing up until you get to the bottom piece. That obviously this piece won't stand up. So, and an interesting thing I noted, because of the orientation I printed this at, the blade tip looks really different than the rest of the blade because it was printed at a different orientation. So all these pieces were printed like this. They were printed flat, except the blade piece, the tip, was printed like this. And I don't think the camera picks up the difference that much, but you can really tell when you're looking at it in the light. You really tell that they don't look the same from the different angles. But anyways, that's not really important. So one thing before you know what, I'll bring it up. So this was sort of the prototype, and I've been trying to get this mechanism working, but at this small scale, it's just not going to happen. So I thought, okay, you know what, let's just do it. I'm probably going to have a lot of PLA coming in for Christmas, and have received some, so thank you, family. But I just went ahead and just printed it at true size, which, as you can see, is huge. My hands are not particularly big, mind you. I wear small size gloves, for example, but still, this is massive. And this is just the handle, the top handle piece. So if you can imagine, you can't really tell now because I glued it, but right about there. So this, from where my fingers are up, that's the same piece. So I wanted to print the handle topper as the first piece. It's not the biggest piece for sure. The biggest piece is probably the this piece in here that has the sliding part to it. But I thought, you know, at the top of the handle, this would give me a kind of a good sense of scale. And now that I've done this successfully, and I had a little bit of issues with the Tevo Tornado. I don't know what was going on, but one of the corners is all weird looking, and it almost came off the print bed. And is it warped? It's probably a little warped. I just don't get good flat prints. I get nice smooth surfaces with this glass, but I don't get flat prints. Yeah. So, yeah, now my next step is to print the mechanism at full size, which is basically 3 parts. These ones won't fit together because they're not the right sizes. But basically these 3 parts is essentially the mechanism. And this part here is also the topper for the handle. So I can basically build the handle from the top down to the handle, or I guess the shaft to the handle, and then build the handle, and then have the mechanism. And then once I have this whole assembly and the mechanism, then I can build the blades. Which, kind of what I wanted to do was to have this be one piece that's glued forever, and these pieces be interchangeable with other axe heads and stuff, but I don't think that's going to happen because these plates have to go over top and they have to be glued in place. And once they're glued in place, I don't think there's, and these are necessary for the mechanism to work. So once they're glued in place, I don't think this will be going anywhere, or these pieces will be going anywhere. So it's fine. We can build one, see how much effort it takes, and then what I want to do, and I've been trying to do it, is to go on the computer and design my own axe head and blade. Keep all of the connecting pieces the same, just redesign the outer contours, because the outer contours don't really matter with the mechanism. You know, instead of making this weird spiky thing, maybe I'll make it like an actual axe head. It might be kind of hard to print, because it's going to be like one giant piece, but I'm sure I can come up with something. It'll be like a few pieces. Yeah, so I basically printed this piece like 4 times or something, and this is the latest copy. I have no clue why this like basically completely failed. Didn't even print the circle. Didn't even print the circular piece properly. Come on, focus. So I'm not really sure. So the only other things for documentation, I printed this fan, which I think I was printing in my last video. I'm not sure. So it's basically a fan cover for the Ender 3, and it has fan holes on all 4 sides and actually at the back, which I think is a poor design, because why would you want air flowing in from back here to cool the thing when back here is going to be all the heat from this? I think the better design would have been to have the vent holes on the side here. So maybe I'll go in to this model and rotate it and then have the vent holes on the side and reprint it. I think that's the best. But this printed on the Tevo Tornado and it printed just fine. The other negative thing is it only has 2 screw holes at the front and back, so it doesn't connect to the back screw hole back there, which means it's easy to put on and you don't have to take the whole cover off to do it, but it's not also not like 100% sealed down, which, I mean, it's not really gonna move, so I don't think that's a concern. Anything else I printed? I don't know if I showed off the Flexi Rex. I don't think so. Here's some characters that I printed on the. So there's a dwarf, sort of cleric, and a human ranger. Both turned out really well. The bow was too fragile and broke. I had to re-glue it, and the axe head was too fragile. Not the head, not the thick part, but the neck that connects the actual piece. And you can see it glued it back on, but it's not quite straight, unfortunately. Yeah, so nothing I could really do there. And I printed this guy, was my print on the Tevo Tornado, actually. So you can kind of see, they're not the same models, but you can kind of see how painted model compared to a non-painted model. And of course I'm not the best painter in the world, so that will definitely affect it as well. And then we have definitely one of my funnest things yet, which is the Flexi Rexy. And this, you can tell with the white PLA, was also printed on the Ender 3. And he's just really cool. I just really like this. He's just a lot of fun to play with. And you don't necessarily have to be thinking about it. He just flexes back and forth. It's not complicated. But he also flexes up and down too. So it can be like straight back or curved back. So kind of cool. So in conjunction with the characters, my players were they actually polymorphed somebody into a T-Rex and used this as the stand-in for it. So pretty cool. So yeah, this is gonna be definitely my biggest project, and I would also argue most complicated project. The last thing to document is this, which I would say is the most complicated thing so far, aside from the switch axe. It's 4 pieces, so you have the tower and 2 stairs and the base plate, and it's exactly what it seems like. It's a tower. It's got 3 holes, so you drop the dice in, and it comes out of either the bottom middle or the 2 side holes, depending on where you drop it from. So if you drop it in the back hole, it comes out the front. If you drop it in the 2 side holes, it comes out the sides. And we had this at the table, and it was pretty awesome. These two were printed on the T-Bolt Tornado, the blue ones, and the other 2 were printed on the Ender 3. This base plate almost took up the entirety of the Ender 3, but it was just enough. However, I think it's this PLA. I don't think it's good quality. But this archway in the front here was very fragile and broke, and this archway on this stairs also broke. And you can see these white, this is actually my super glue that I put over every arch to try and reinforce it, so I'll have to sand that off before I start painting it. Actually, which I probably want to do today, I probably want to go outside and set up a little paint studio, add a little heater, keep it warm, and do some painting. I don't think I have anything else that's painted aside from this test piece. So this was printed on the T-Bolt Tornado in the blue, but it actually failed. So you can see it failed. Almost near the top too. I don't even know how. I think it just got unstuck somehow. And I just was testing. I mean, the bottom was smooth, so I just sprayed it with the gray primer. I painted a statue with this silver color, and I was using this as a test. So you can kind of see on this side of the disc, you can see this shine, the glossiness, but on the other side of the disc, it's almost matte, like a semi-gloss. And I was testing 2 different, I used this sort of like a half and half to test 2 different kinds of coating, clear coat. So one is like a matte finish clear coat, which turned the silver more gray, I would say, and then another was the this stuff that's back there. It's like a lacquer. It's meant for wood, but it coated the piece without losing any of the silver gloss. So I think that's cool. And that's basically it for today. Like I said, I really wanted to try this mechanism at small scale, but I just don't think it's going to end up working. So unfortunately, like I said, I just printed this one piece to see what the scale looked like, and now I'm going to print the mechanisms, which shouldn't take all day, hopefully. And then, yeah, so you can see that I printed at a few different scales to see what it would look like. So this is 10%, this small one, and then this one's 12.5%. And I probably could have gone bigger, like 15 or even 20%, like 1/5 scale or something like that. And it probably would have been a little bit better, a little bit easier. But I just wanted to print quickly. I printed all the pieces at once, and I don't know if these are the ones, but they failed almost when they were done. So all of the shorter pieces were just fine. So even most of these pieces came out. I lost like one of them, and these pieces failed completely. I don't know what happened to them. But there's 8 of these pieces, and only one of them failed, so I only had to reprint one. And then there was two of these, so just had to print those. So I did like basically 2 plates. So 1 plate with all the parts, and then some failed, and then a second plate with all the parts I was missing, and it basically took the day. It wasn't really that hard. And I spent all of yesterday gluing these things together, and now I have the 3 main components of your switch axe, which is pretty cool. All I need now is that mechanism, which, like I said, is probably not going to work at this scale, so that's it for me. It might be a good idea to print the mechanism at some bigger scale, not too much bigger, but like 20% or 30%, just to see how it works, because I haven't seen it yet. But anyways, we'll leave this for today. So thank you for joining me. Merry Christmas, and hope to have some more prints for you later. And please, if you have prints yourself, feel free to share. If you want, you can follow this channel. I'm not really expecting anything, just doing it for documenting my own videos. But you'll see me do the upgrades and stuff. I mean, this was literally 2 bolts, so I just didn't bother. Just gonna talk about it in these kinds of streams. But if I do more complicated stuff, I will put out a video. Upgrades to do. I put actually this thing on, and I don't think it's seated all the way, but it does exactly what I wanted to do. But this screw up still, this screw up top still is not. It rotates when you turn the thing, so it's, you can probably see. It's kind of hard to see. But yeah, it rotates, so the only way to actually do it is to hold the screw down, and then you can rotate it, but I'm not sure if this is seated all the way. It might be, actually. It might be seated all the way. But I can print some more of these. Didn't actually test it on this one, so I'm not sure if it fits with this. It might not. Who knows? But that's all for today. So thanks for joining me. See ya.